In this module, we're going to take a look and see OpenTelemetry in practice. We're going to look into an existing application, the Spring PetClinic. It's a classic application that demonstrates Spring for newcomers. We're going to take that application and we're going to do the auto-instrumentation for Java for that application and see how we can visualize that data. Over the next videos, we're going to compose a more complete solution, a solution that resembles what we're going to do in production. So we start with an auto-instrumentation showing what OpenTelemetry is all about, and then we show a few other projects within OpenTelemetry so that you can understand where they fit into the big picture. Let's go. So this is the Spring PetClinic project, and I had to change the build.gradle to use the Java version 25. I don't know what's going on. It was 17 here on the original version, but apparently I cannot use 25 with that. And then I built a jar file for that application. So using Gradle, we can just do a Gradle boot jar. And if after a few moments, we have our application ready, our application compiled, and then I'm going to run a Java minus jar and then our application here. And then after a few seconds, our application would be started. So let's take a look. All right, so the application has started. We now open our application on localhost 8080, and this is the PetClinic, right? So for those who don't know, we can find owners for pets, and then we can edit the owner. We can then add a new pet. We can also find owners for the pet, open a specific owner, and then we see what is a pet, add visit, and so on and so forth. We have a list of veterinarians. We have a screen that generates errors, and so on and so forth. So this is a very basic application. This is really to demonstrate some features of Spring or Spring Boot or Spring in general. And this is a classic application for Spring. We cannot see much here, right? So we can probably look at the logs. Let's open here. So we have here the logs. This is the error screen that we clicked, and it generated a stack trace here. So we can take a look and see or try to understand what happened. And we have some logs in here. We can browse, we can scroll up and down and see what happened, but not much is shown here. So we don't know how long a specific HTTP request took or how many HTTP requests we made. We cannot see really much of our application. We cannot look at one specific request and understand what happened there. And this is where OpenTelemetry can help us. We can use OpenTelemetry to generate or to capture telemetry from our applications to understand what our applications are doing. Now, we're going to add the auto-instrumentation so that we can have, even without any instrumentation, even with an application that doesn't know anything about OpenTelemetry, we can add the auto-instrumentation for Java as a Java agent and see what we can extract in terms of telemetry from that application. So now I'm going to stop my my process here. I'm going to stop the service. And what we're going to do, so all right, so I have a branch here. Let me stash some of the changes that I may have here. So I have a few branches in here with the code examples that I want to show you. So let me do a git checkout, a JPEG running phase 1. Yeah, that's the one that I want. And you can go telemetry drops or does it telemetry or my own personal GitHub account and find the Spring PetClinic fork. And in there, you can see the branches that we're going to show in those videos here. One of the files that we have there is the hotel.md file. So the hotel.md shows what we should be doing for each one of those phases. So for the very first one, I'm going to start a local container with the Grafana hotel LGTM. It doesn't matter which one you use. You can be using ClickHouses, ClickStack, or you can be using Signals or anything else really that you want that you are probably using already. So if you have a vendor that gives you a space for development, a data set or a specific environment, you can use that, right? I prefer to use something local to me so I can quickly iterate. Quite often I use hotel TUI, but other times I use this Grafana hotel LGTM container that contains everything that I need for all of the signals. It's very simple, very lightweight, and it starts very quickly. All right, so we're going to copy this command here and paste in here in this terminal. And then after a few moments, we should be having a backend ready for our data. Now, this is not OpenTelemetry. This is just the backend that is going to receive our telemetry. To auto-instrument our applications, what we need is we need to download the Java agent. So we can copy this command here. I have it here already somewhere. So I have it in my local directory local. I have an OpenTelemetry Java agent. Let me remove it and download again. So just so that we prove everything's working. So we have it here now. We don't actually need to build application again. So we built it already. And we're going to copy this command. I like to externalize my OTel configuration into an external file. So in this case, we have an OTel.properties file. That OTel.properties, it has a few things. We actually only need the first one. So the other ones are best practices, so to speak. So where is the location? In this case, it is localhost 4317 gRPC, which is the default for OpenTelemetry. Either that or 4318 for HTTP. We're going to leave gRPC here for now. One other thing that I like is the deployment environment name, so I can see which telemetry is coming from which environment, dev, production, staging. And then I don't like quite a few attributes that are in the resource attributes, like the command args or the runtime description or the executable path. Right, so we're going to remove them. I'm actually going to comment that out so we can see everything in there on the UI. Cool. So we have it there. What we're going to do here is we're going to run Java with the Java agent pointing to the jar file that we downloaded using the properties file that we created. And then everything's the same, -jar and then jar file that we have for our application. Copy. Let me paste it here. So our application is now starting. And after a few moments, we have our application ready. Let's see. And it's ready. Okay. So let's go back to our UI. We can load one specific record. There you go. So we have one owner, and then we have a list of the paths for that specific owner. And then on port 3000, that's our telemetry backend. We can go in here, home. Where can I see menu? Okay, explore, and then search, and we see here all of the traces that we have already for our application. So we have some of the traces representing the SQL statements that were executed during the bootstrap of the application. So we have the drop table, create index, and insert, and so on and so forth. But we also have already here the HTTP call that we've made for the owners, right? So the get owners and then the owner ID, we open that, and then we can see the whole trace. We can understand this page now. So we can see that it took 600 milliseconds. So it's not perfect, but for a code start, that's okay. We can expand that top operations is called the root span, and then we can understand what's going on. So we see that this is a user with a Mozilla browser, HTTP scheme. This is the full URL path, and this is the route, and so on and so forth. We have some resource attributes representing the process of our application. So the development environment name that we specified on the external file. What is the host name, the OS, the command args. This is one thing that I don't like, that I use, that I filter out on my OTel.properties. But we commented that out, so we see that information here, and so on and so forth, right? So take some moments to browse it and see what else you can tell about our applications. We can see some SQL statements here. We can see session find and the actual statements. We can see that we may have a n+1 kind of problem perhaps in here. I don't know. But we can also go to the logs and see what are the logs that our application generated, right? We can also go to metrics and see some of the metrics that were captured. The application is running for only a few moments, so we don't see much here, but we see a few dots in here, so we see some data flowing in. Let's see if we can get like for the past 5 minutes, so we see something else in here. That's all for free. That's all the telemetry we are getting just by adding a new Java agent to the process. So OpenTelemetry is quite easy to get started. We just plugged a Java agent to our Java process, and suddenly we could take a look and see the internals of our application with minimal effort.